Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Manson, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing for CTL. Welcome to our new video series that we're calling Chrome Up Close. This is where we're diving into trends and topics regarding Chrome-based devices, including Chromebooks. Today, we're talking to Charlie Williams, the CEO and founder of Advent Tech, an educational technology reseller with almost 2 decades of experience. So thank you for joining us and welcome, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I'm really pleased to be here, and thanks for letting me be a guest.
Great, thank you. We're going to talk about a hot topic in the industry today, third-party warranties for Chromebooks. Before we start, I thought I should go through a little bit of background on what's going on in the market and what we're seeing as the challenges. So first of all, if you haven't heard of CTL, we're a manufacturer of Chromebooks, Chromeboxes, and other Chrome OS devices. In the education industry, CTL works with schools and district IT leadership to configure solutions and provide comprehensive Chromebook lifecycle support services. We have over 30 years of computing expertise, and then today our Chromebooks are actually serving more than 2 million students in 50 countries around the world. So as a manufacturer of Chromebooks, we naturally offer manufacturer warranties, extended warranties, and accidental damage protection. There are also third-party companies, resellers, insurance companies, and other ed tech organizations that also offer third-party warranties. So right now, there's a lot of discussion due to some market turmoil, and some of these third parties are actually going out of business. So we're getting a lot of questions from our customers. And so we've invited Charlie here today to help us understand the facts and then maybe provide some recommendations around this current situation. So thanks again, Charlie. My first question to you is, what is your experience with the service differences that you see between the Chromebook manufacturers and a third party?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, the service differences, I think what I've seen is often from a customer. Okay, so from a customer's perspective, initially you won't see a huge difference, right? Because the third party repairs that are being done by somebody that doesn't have insurance or manufacturer sort of backing them, if they get fixed and come back pretty quickly, you may not notice a very big difference at all. I think if you were to actually open the Chromebook, you'll probably notice a couple things right away. If you know what to look for, they're probably using used parts from old devices in their repairs, or oftentimes just sort of third party parts from secondary manufacturers, definitely not manufacturer provided parts, right? And so I think one of the things I worry about is the minute you put a used part, or the minute you put a non-manufacturer part in a device, you completely wipe out the EULA, you completely wipe out the manufacturer coverage on that device. And so I worry about that. And then what will begin to happen over time is that the reseller that's doing their own third-party repair program, it just becomes harder and harder at scale to continue to provide really good service. So what you often see is a lot of these companies will do really well their first 5 years, and then they get some real traction, and then maybe even the next 10 years they're doing okay. But you never really know when they hit that tipping point where it's suddenly like, oh no, we can't source these parts anymore. What do we do for all these customers? Or like with COVID, I mean, the COVID crisis shut down, like you said, a number of these third-party providers, because people kept their devices a lot longer. So that secondary used Chromebook market dried up, and parts were in higher demand by customers and resellers and everybody. So that's where you saw some of the third-party warranty providers, go out of business. And I think that's the thing that ultimately I worry about is, if you send somebody a broken device and they can get the part, and they haven't been doing it for too long, so the long-term cost hasn't caught up to them yet, you may not notice any service difference right away. But the longer the company does it, the more difficult it becomes to scale an operation, like that. So, and it's hard, there's usually not strict service level agreements here too, right? So
Yeah.
do they have the same kind of obligation a manufacturer has if they can't fix your device to replace the device? And so that's why there's companies out there that I kind of like to tell the story of, like a State Mobile. Maybe we'll talk about that more. That was a very large third party repair company that ended up filing for bankruptcy. So maybe we'll talk about that
Right.
more in a second. But that's just to answer your question. Initially, you may not see a big service difference. Over time, the more repairs that company does, And any sort of market fluctuation where used devices or parts become hard to source, and you'll notice a huge difference
Mhm.
in the service of those
Yes.
warranties.
Oh, well, and as a manufacturer, we're actually the sixth largest manufacturer of Chromebooks
Hmm.
in the world,
Hmm.
along with our good friends at Dell and HP.
Yeah.
And we do guarantee the availability of parts for the life of our device.
Hmm.
And so I'm just not sure about third parties being able to provide that as well. But that is something that a manufacturer can offer. What about
Hmm.
timing on services? So if something needs servicing, do you have any insight to that? I know that CTL promises a 5-day turnaround, but um, as someone who's worked with these third parties, what kind
Hmm.
of turnaround times do you typically see?
I mean, again, I think when everything is going great, and customers that have bought warranties previously years, as long as customers are still buying warranties current years and future years, well, then those third party warranty providers, they can still afford to buy the parts and pay for shipping. And so, I mean, oftentimes you can see good turnaround times there as well, but there's usually not, like I said, a strict service level agreement, right? Where they might claim we'll get them back to you in 4 days,
Okay.
5 days, 2 weeks, whatever. But if they don't, then where is the accountability? Where's the actual service level agreement between you and them to replace the device, or like you said, to make the parts available for the lifetime of the device?
Right.
And those are just things that you can't control with a third party warranty. So there were people during COVID that were trying to work with third party warranty providers, and some of them, I consulted with a few of them, which was interesting. I mean, there were quarters that were going by,
Oh,
up to 9, 10, 11 months where people weren't getting devices back, right? Because those third party warranty providers were relying on sources for parts that just kind of dried up, and they weren't
yeah.
replacing the
That's
devices either, unfortunately.
so tough in the education market, right? I mean, these kids need these devices to do their
Yes.
homework and access their applications. Anyway,
Yes.
all right, let's move on to question two. That was a long question one. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So question two was how do these third party warranties stack up in terms of cost compared to a manufacturer in your experience?
And cost. Yeah. Well, I think that it's a little bit of the trouble, actually, right? Is if you're a technology director, you have a responsibility to be fiduciarily responsible, right? So you see warranty number one and warranty number two, and warranty number two is that third party warranty. It's the same price or sometimes even a little bit less. But again, I think if you're buying a warranty, because a lot of people don't buy warranties, but if you're buying a warranty, you're doing it because you don't want to take on the risk of having to repair those
Right.
devices. And I think you're taking on higher risk. And so I think of it in terms of like total cost of ownership, or maybe total cost of ownership and risk. Because if you're a manufacturer like yourselves or one of the other manufacturers, you're talking about a supply chain that's been built out, that's reliable. Oftentimes, you're talking about billion-dollar, companies that have just a major financial ecosystem in place, versus somebody that's maybe a multi-million-dollar company, and oftentimes they brag about how strong their books are, and how we've got lots of parts in stock. And it's like, stay mobile. Stay Mobile had a very cost-effective warranty, and they were like Inc. 5000 list fastest growing company in 2019, and then 3 years later they filed for bankruptcy. So it's like, was it worth that cost difference, right? To save $10 per Chromebook to get their warranty? Typically, no. This may be a crude analogy, but this is what comes to mind is, if my cell phone broke and I decide I'm going to go get it repaired, well, it's an Apple product. Do I take it to Apple to get repaired, or do I take it to a mall kiosk? And sometimes you take it to a mall kiosk to get repaired, and can they repair it? Hopefully. Are they probably putting in original Apple parts? Probably not. Um, what happens if what happens if they create a real serious issue with my phone? Can I now take it to Apple and get it repaired? No, not really, because I had someone else put a inauthentic part in there. So
Mhm.
again, I think if you're buying a warranty, you're paying that extra price already. For me, just go the small extra step of taking it to Apple or taking it to CTL, taking it to the manufacturer, and saying, I really want you to cover the device, because will the mall kiosk be there if something happens to the part they put in the device, 2 or 3 years from now? Will they replace my phone totally if they somehow mess something up with my phone? No, like they're not going to do some of those
Yeah.
things. So cost wise, yeah, usually the third party warranty is a little bit less expensive. I think the I think the support system behind it is what I worry about, right? Because they really can't guarantee um,
Yeah.
the repair for you, unfortunately. So
Risk versus reward, right?
yeah, the total cost of ownership, you're always looking at those numbers, but it is a much higher. I don't think people realize how much higher the risk profile is of a third party warranty. So I think if you understood that, sometimes it's like, oh, well, if it was $100 to fix my phone through Apple, and if it was $90 to send it to a mall kiosk, yes, I'm going to send it to Apple, because if something goes wrong, they can really take care of it. So that's a long
And it's
answer
a
to the
critical
question
piece
again,
of
but
equipment too, right? I mean, these
yeah,
Chromebooks,
yeah,
for students, teachers, administration, they can be such critical pieces of everyday equipment, right? So to
yes,
me, that's where I draw the line is like, how critical is this?
totally,
And for me,
totally.
Chromebooks are pretty critical to
Oh yeah,
getting everyday productivity. Okay,
yeah.
so we've talked about service, we've talked about cost. So what is your overall recommendation to your customers and your clients when you're providing your ed tech consulting services to purchasers of Chromebooks? What would you advise them to do, particularly for schools, in terms of warranties, extended warranties, and accidental damage protection?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably, made it pretty clear already. It's hard because you don't want to tell people what to do, but I do like to really try to inform people, obviously, of risk. I always recommend the manufacturer warranty. Second to that, there are insurance options that at least have a financial backer. And there are those options, and the third party warranty falls pretty far down on my list of recommendations, and might even be below just fix them yourself at a certain point. But my number one recommendation is really that manufacturer warranty, only because I've just seen too many times where those third party warranty providers, and boy, do they brag. They brag about their financials. They brag about millions of dollars of parts and inventory, like Stay Mobile did a lot. Stay Mobile, when they filed for bankruptcy, they had $5 million in parts, and $8 million total in equipment in their facility, right? So it's
Oh,
like,
great.
and they bragged all the time about how many customers, how big they were. Some of the major manufacturers were even kind of partnering with them on the repairs. So it's manufacturer warranty across the board. I do think one of the things folks don't always think about is manufacturer warranties are actually much more flexible than folks realize. Like if you approach your manufacturer and you say, I want an extended warranty, I want accidental damage, maybe I want a one incident accidental damage, or maybe I would like to put some sort of Chromebook as a service plan together, right? Or device as a service, and get LTE devices and get those out to these specific students where I'm worried they're more remote, they're more likely to break them. But for these
Mhm.
devices, I just want a depot warranty. So I don't think people even realize a lot of times you approach a manufacturer, or through a reseller, you approach a manufacturer like CTL. There's actually a lot of custom warranty programs available nowadays.
Yes.
And if you don't know what those are, make sure you ask before you buy someone else's third party warranty. Because again, what they'll tell you there as well is, well, we've got all these flexible options for you. And it's like, well, they do until they don't. I've even heard of third party warranty companies that offered a self maintainer program for schools to be able to fix their own devices. And then they didn't like the way that was shaking out. And so they retracted the self maintainer program, and then started denying people, or even denied like a whole region of people from
Hmm.
having
Hmm.
self-maintainer options, because again, it's just really up to them to make up the rules as they go. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's my overall recommendation. If that wasn't really clear,
Yeah. We're a little bit, as a manufacturer, we are definitely, governed by Google to some degree. So, we do offer a program where we'll train people to self-maintain their
Mhm.
devices, but it is licensed by Google, right? We're one of the three organizations to be able to do that. We also do offer
Mhm.
device rental. We'll do the maintenance, and all of the standard warranty and accidental damage protection. So we offer that as well. In any case, well, thanks for sharing your important insight. This came up because we saw you talking about it as bringing it up as an important issue, and we just wanted to share it with our audience as well. So thank you
Okay.
very much for joining us, and appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks.